Hey everybody, this is the mechanical push coin by unknown maker, which I just recently found on AliExpress. This one is stainless steel. I did see it available in zirconium as well. It's very similar to one that I reviewed earlier in the week that's made out of that Ultim or PEI plastic, and this one has the same construction to it. So it's going to be interesting to compare the two. Stick around. So let me tell you first about something funny that happened, except it's not really very funny. As you know, if you want to look at the video about the other coin that's in Ultim, that was just called Mechanical Ultim Coin, I think. And it was within the last week, I think. Very similar. I had mentioned how very close it is in design to the Top C from Metal Toys DZ, and that I'm okay with that because I think that they're different enough. And moving on from there, I did express that I'm very excited about getting a Top C. It's going to be coming here soon, is what I said, not knowing that it was going to show up today. And I was all excited. In fact, I've even bought a used, well, very lightly used, if at all, really, ZZ plate for it, and I don't even have it yet. But I ordered a stainless steel Top C, and I guess it's a blasted finish or something like that, like a satin finish, so it's not going to be too slippery, hopefully. Really looking forward to it, you know. And so this comes in the mail, and I got excited, buddy. I don't really say on the outside what it is, unless it's in Chinese here somewhere. But I got in there, you know, thinking, oh boy, can't wait for this. Got this nice case. Crack it open. Oh, would you look at that? Well, that's not a Top C. That's a Top B. So I'm like, yeah, what do I do with that, I wonder? So they are going to take this. Well, I actually think that the supplier is going to let me keep this. I'm not sure if I misunderstood the translated message that we're sharing with each other, but I said I'd offer to send it back if they'd pay for it, and it sounded like they said, we're going to let you keep it, and we're going to send you the Top C that you ordered. And then things got a little confusing, and I'm not going to mention the store at least until I know how things work out. It sounds like things might work out. Unfortunately, though, you know, there's at least this place was a little fast. It came in under 2 weeks. It was 13 days. So I got to wait again for my Top C. So let's get back to this thing. This is the Ultim mechanical coin, and they both are very, very similar. They would almost fit together, except for the magnets in the center are off and differently constructed. You know, they sort of slide into each other, and they're just opposite of each other. They won't work. But it is such a difference between the Ultim and the stainless steel. Such a huge difference. And I've heard people say so many times about how Ultim brings out the noise and everything like that. It's a different feeling and everything. And I hesitate to get involved with Ultim. And I've talked about it before. Now, this one doesn't have too much for me to be worried about. There's 2 magnets. If they fell out, I'm sure I could glue them back in. But, like, I have a magnet 3-level slider that's Ultim. And what do you do with the magnets there? I mean, I guess if they fell out, you could glue it back in. But if they come to you, like one that I have in PC, and the magnet's cocked, crooked, what do you do with it? You can't soak it in acetone. You know, do you want it to go after it with a hammer and chisel? So Ultim, and I think Ultim too, another thing about Ultim is when you screw into it, you're taking big chances. And some of these things, like the latest slider that I just saw, Lefty EDC review, I've been on the fence about it so much, and I'm leaning towards getting one now, I think, but it has all these extra screws on it, you know, 4 extra screws on both sides because of the fancy faceplate that's on it. And that's fine if you're not going to be taking it apart and putting it together all the time, but plastic, and plastic being threaded for machine screws in general is just a bad idea. If you're going to do that, you got to keep the threads fairly coarse and the diameter fairly large, I would think. And then as a user, you have to be very careful about torquing things down. So, more BS about Ultim, but I like it. I really like it. The sound is amazing, and I've got this, and I've got a couple other pieces. I didn't bother bringing them over because they're not really related to coins, but I've got that 3-level slider, and I did get myself an Ultim, a regular haptic coin, magnetic, and it's on the way. It was one of the inexpensive ones. I just wanted to experience that. What else did I have? I'll think of it in a minute here, but we're getting off topic. We're on this thing, and I like it. I like it except for the fact that I got to this first, and I'm used to this, and this thing is light and crisp, and just goes and stops immediately. It's easy to control. It's very precise. And then I get to this, and it's because it's made of stainless steel and because of its mass. It has more momentum when you give it a turn. And you can set it up with 3 magnets. Three springs and screws. Blah. 3 springs and balls, just like this one. And I currently have this set up with 2 springs and balls. That seemed to work best. This one just has 1 spring and ball. But the fact that it's so heavy, when it makes its move, you can almost feel it go forward and sort of bounce back a little bit. That's how much inertia, momentum it has. So it's a different feel. It also feels just a little scratchier. This one uses ceramic balls. That's what it came with, I think. The white zirconium nitride balls. Ceramic, yeah. And I didn't really try anything else yet. And that's an important thing to consider with any of these mechanics, is not to give up on them too quickly. Like these guys, I've been through the ringer with these guys, trying different stuff, and now I'm back to, this one is set up with, I guess you'd call it the Z plate, and this one's set up with a ZZ plate. And I did have the brass insert that you can use to put, you have to buy 2 of these. That's why I bought 2 to make that sandwich. And I've done a lot, but I just couldn't get that sandwich to work in a way that was satisfying me at all. So I just got rid of it. And I brought these back to what their original states were, kind of. They both came as with a Z plate, which I'm almost certain this probably came with a Z plate. And I bought an extra ZZ plate as an accessory. So it took a long time, and this is the point I'm trying to make, and you don't want to judge mechanics too quickly, because you should tune them and take the time to try different things, and you may not even have a lot of the stuff that you should have to try, like different kinds of balls and maybe different kind of springs. And that's something, if anybody's listening right now, if you could get to me in the comments, anywhere that we can buy these springs and balls and the little brass caps that sit on top of the springs in different diameters or whatever, we need to find a source for that sort of thing, because the people that are selling top C accessories on AliExpress are just asking criminal prices for just a handful of those springs with the caps and balls and such. But I'm going on and on here. It's Friday evening anyhow. Glad to be out of work. I hope you are. Like I said, I think I said this is available in zirconium. This cost around, what was it? Between 35 and 40, which I think is really good for what you get. This was about 25, 30, which again I think was really good for what you get. We'll go ahead. You know what? We'll get to that in a minute. I'll go ahead and finish talking about it here, and then we'll take it apart. But when I was talking about that, the fact that it has so much mass that it wants to sort of keep going on you, I did think of, it reminded me of another one. Here's a magnetic coin, And this one is just from an not AliExpress. This one came off of Amazon, I think. So there's a series available there on, if you've ever seen them, on AliExpress and on Amazon. It's this one that's shaped like a milk cap, and one with like chamfered corners, and one with a laser etching on it and stuff. And I'll bet you any money that they could be interchangeable. You probably buy one or the other. You could switch the tops and backs on them. But I bought this one because it was pretty cheap. I don't think it was more than 25, and it's heavy and stainless. It's actually heavier. This is heavier than this, but it has that same feel to it. And maybe that's a good thing with magnetics. That is sort of a nice feature here compared to a lot of the other magnetic ones I have. And I don't have an NJT, I hope I'm getting that right, an NJT coin, but they seem to be pretty popular. And I think, just from what I've watched and seen in review videos and stuff, they appear to be pretty chunky and have some mass to them, almost regardless of what material they're in. And I think that maybe NJT has their, the magic formula of magnet strength to material and weight ratio dialed in, because they seem to be satisfying everybody pretty well. When most coins, magnetic coins that I have, pretty much all behave the same to me. I don't get much of a click out of them. But this one exhibits that same feature, that it's just sort of it has so much mass that when you move it, it doesn't quite come to a stop. It almost bounces back. If we did it in slow motion, I'll bet you'd see it. That might be something to consider doing for fun. But yeah, let's just move on to comparisons and weights and measurements, and then we'll take her apart. So we've already pretty much shown these two guys together. They're about the same size, both width and diameter. Measurements, diameter is 37 millimeters, thickness is 11, and that's about all you can say about it, isn't it? We'll do the weight here. About 70 grams. Comparison-wise, some of you have the, is it the Flux or the Index? It's the Index by Flux Designs, I think. So there you have that for size. I don't have any really fancy coins to compare it to, so we're looking at stuff that a lot of you do have, but maybe not. Things you might find on AliExpress. This comes in two sizes. I think this is the larger size. It's a little bit bigger in diameter, but much thinner. These are magnetic, of course. This one you'll see on AliExpress and on Amazon, I think. Brass, hefty, chunky. These guys are about the same diameter and about the same thickness. This might be a little thinner. About the same weight. Yeah, I think that's about it. I'm going to go ahead and go from this point forward. We're going to go ahead and just take it apart, talk about the internals a little bit, maybe compare it to the internals of the Ultim one here. So we'll do that next. Okay, so let's pop this puppy apart. We'll get that out in a minute. You just want to keep the design side facing up because it's going to be the springs, the ball sitting on top of the springs underneath. And just try to gently lift it up. You know what might help? I'll just do this. Put a little thin blade in there. Give it a little bit of a twist. That made it as easy as could be. Now there the magnet wanted to bring up the what's that called? Thrust bearing. And one of the things are stuck on there. There you go. That's the internals of that one. Let's just go ahead and crack this one open as well. Do the same thing. Upside down. Make sure the pretty side's facing up. Whoop, I lost the ball, but I caught it in my hand. And the spring went straight to the magnet. That's right, this spring has one good side and one bad side because they cut springs in half. and I want to put the bad side down in so that the nice side is facing upward, and that's what the ball sits on. So there's my ball. Like I said, there was only a need to me to put one spring, one ball on the Ultim, and 2 balls and 2 springs on the stainless steel version. They both have, 14 divots. I wouldn't be surprised if the same company had something to do with this. But, yeah, we'll pop this off too. Come on, you. God, Swiss Army knives are great, man. I've carried one of these classics with me ever since I was like 12 on my keychain. I've probably gone through about 20 of them. So, yeah, there's not much more to say than that. They're very, very similar. I'll bring them up close to the camera here for you. Let me bring one up and get it focused. And then I'll bring the other one up. There's a magnet on each side. That attracts it, keeps it together. And one magnet you see on my left hand sticks out some, and the magnet on the right hand is down in. So it doesn't just bring them together, it locks them together like an axle. And I think that's really important to note, because a lot of the magnetic coins have an axle to them. Now the Umbri coin, the original, the patented version, I don't believe ever has a pivot point in the middle. I don't think. I don't own one, and I'm not completely familiar with it, but yeah, it's a good feature. Keeps it from sliding off. Assembly is just as easy as that. There is a little interesting feature. There's a groove directly under where the rollers on the bearing go, both sides. And I assume that is maybe to bring the weight down a little bit, to take some of that mass out. And it's just wide enough, that gap, that these rollers bridge that gap. And well, you know, that would mean less friction too, less friction surface. Maybe that was their intent. But I don't want to put it on this. I don't want to put it on this side. Now this one, you know what? I don't think I checked since I bought it if it came with normal springs or not. I think it did. I'm pretty sure it did. Let's see if we can get them out of there. Yeah, they're normal. Nothing wrong with those. Like I said, on the Ultim one, the springs are cut in half. Probably something they needed to do to get the initial batch out the door. But yeah, all you have to do is, just like the other one, drop the springs down in the holes. If you want to put 1 in, you can. If you want to put 2 in. I thought 1 was a little too weak. I thought 2 was just right, and I thought 3 was a little too strong. Now, when you add balls and springs to the Ultim version, it just gets louder. It doesn't really feel like it gets much harder to turn, but it gets louder, definitely. This just seems to get a little bit more difficult to turn. I don't think it gets much louder. Although I'm new to this. I mean, I did just get it. Initial observations are not always the most accurate. But I think that's it. I think that's all I've got for you. If you haven't seen it and you're interested, you should go back and look at the video I did on this. This was just called the Mechanical Ultim coin, I think. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. Bye.